extraordinary awards on your mantelpiece at home, including things like World's Most Beautiful Man and all those sort of smash hit type of things. I mean, what was that like to live with?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was hard not to take it too seriously. You know, I suppose I got quite taken up in it for a while. But you know, I look at smash hits now and I see Jason Donovan's winning. You know, you have to hand these things over.
Well, exactly. I mean, is it easy to hand the mantle over?
Yeah, I think so. Quite happy about where I'm at. So, you know, I'm not longing for something that was there once.
When Duran Duran started, what were your dreams then?
To be screamed at airports. Really.
It really was?
Yeah, I think it was, actually, and to have 10 articulated trucks full of gear. It wasn't really, that was, I can always remember singing Beatles songs, and yeah, I wanted to be a pop star. It was a whole new career that was formed in the 60s. It didn't really, it's not like, you know, a doctor or something that existed through centuries of study. This was a whole new job, like Formula One racing or something. Yeah, I want to be one of those, something like that.
Did it all happen very easily, do you think?
Yeah.
It's not supposed to, John.
Well, no, it's not supposed to, but it was chemistry, you know, it was just right. And I suppose we were, I mean, I'd followed music for, it was everything to me, and it was a route, we kind of followed a route that seemed, I don't know, the people in the band were aware of, and the people that were managing us were aware of, and yeah, we happened to have something that record companies wanted, and then it turned out lots of people wanted too.
Let's talk about the fans, because Durani's had the most wonderful profile. Now, this is something you couldn't have created.
No. Yeah, well, again, I suppose we were coming out of punk's dark ages, and pop music was being looked at in a very black and white sense.
What year are we on now?
I suppose we're like 1978, 79, and really with the 80s, I mean, the nearest thing you had to pure pop was Blondie, really. And I think even The Clash probably made it onto the cover of Smash Hits at one point, but you know, Smash Hits was still being outsold by The Enemy and Melody Maker and Sounds and blah blah. And I don't know, suddenly people wanted to see pop, wanted to see colour again, and that whole, I don't think Smash Hits had never had, well, I mean, they didn't have awards when we used to win them, and they certainly didn't have award shows, thank God. I think that whole thing kind of grew, and suddenly it was kind of cool to be pop.
Who decides that you are a success? Is it record sales? Is it publicity? What point did you think, hey, we've done it?
Bright and Dumb for me was it, when people were just not listening to what we were doing, and they were just screaming at us ceaselessly for about 50 minutes, and that was just as the first album was being released and Girls on Film was just coming out as a single, and that was a point for me where I thought, yeah, okay, so this is success.
Did you love it?
Yeah, I think I did.
You took video very, well, not seriously, but it was very much a part of the development of Duran Duran, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember walking into a meeting that our managers were having at EMI, and there was this guy, this director, Russell Mulcahy, and he just made the Vienna video for Ultravox, which I think was the first video that really killed the radio star. You know, it was, I mean, it put that, I mean, yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody did too, but Queen were already a huge band at the time, and the Vienna thing really turned it around. And I think the Rebel, everybody was looking for a way of getting bands into different countries all at the same time, you know, rather than these terribly expensive promotion trips where they send the band down to Australia and then up to Austria and then around to Germany all to promote the same single. And so, you know, the video solved that problem. And with a band like ourselves, it was an incredible way of exploiting the visual appeal.
You've just touched on something, saying a video band, and it's just sort of reminded me that, as you say, when Duran started, MTV began, and that whole business about image. I mean, you were probably the first of that era of bands who were incredibly. It was all, well, it appeared to be all about image.
Yeah, well, it was something our management stayed quite in touch with, because I think the consortium that owned MTV were Warner, Amex, right? Warner Brothers, American Express, and they were developing this thing. And at the time, our management, credit to them, you know, thought this could be something. And they stayed very closely. And at the time, they were like, you know, there was no Who videos. There was no American radio was playing Paranoid back to back with Stairway to Heaven, back to back with Smoke on the Water. That was all that was being played, and there was no videos for that stuff. So MTV had to consider a whole new programming style, and so they were very grateful for whoever they were, anybody that would take it seriously enough to make attractive programming for them.
Presumably there's a lot of trouble about Girls on Film. Very
well, yeah, but that was
naughty.
but it was made with that in mind, really. I suppose at the same time as MTV was happening, there was also a burgeoning video rock club scene in America, and there were these clubs cropping up all over the country that were having these huge 12-foot by 12-foot screens, and it kind of filled the gap, because disco was not popular well, I mean, there was the disco scene, and then there was the live rock scene, and this was a way of bringing almost live rock into discos. So we kind of made that particular film, the long-form film, with the late-night American rock club scene in mind, and it turned up on the Playboy channel, I think. But I mean, the idea initially, I think the idea was to do it in an artistic Helmut Newton kind of style, and it really ended up a little more Sunday sport than that. But it was fun to make, and Kevin Godley is in it, isn't he?
Let's talk about Rio, which was a smashing song. Where was that?
That was filmed in Antigua, and the reason why it was filmed in Antigua was because we all went on holiday there, and these kind of things were always happening. Actually, I think we went to Sri Lanka to film Hungry Like the Wolf and Say Prayer, because we were in London and we were about to start a tour in Australia, and we were looking for somewhere in between. But Antigua, we'd gone, 4 out of the 5 of us had gone there on holiday after an American tour, and we had a phone call saying, listen, if you can hold on, if you can stay there for a couple more days, Andy's going to fly out, and we're going to fly out a film crew, we're going to film a couple of videos. Well, this is a holiday, we don't want to get into that, we'll pay for the holiday, okay. So, you know, things like that. I mean, the videos were, yeah, they were all exotic locations and everything.
You actually got quite a lot of stick over all that, didn't you? I seem to remember something about the girl with the pink telephone.
Yeah, I remember Heaven 17 actually releasing an album called The Luxury Gap. And in an interview they were saying, well, yeah, the Luxury Gap is like Duran Duran videos, you know. It's selling, you know, that kind of lifestyle to people, you know, that can't afford to take the bus. And it was like, what? You know, it's really taking the whole thing too seriously. For me, I'd never considered it like that, because it was just like, well, you know, do they go and see James Bond films? I mean, that was my explanation at the time, you know. It was something I didn't really feel needed to be questioned.
Well, it's more fantasy.
It was entertainment.
What was always so interesting about Duran Duran was that you were the Bros of X years ago. You wanted real acceptance as, you know, as blokes who could actually play, yeah?
I think everybody does, really. I'm sure Bros feel exactly the same way, and I'm sure if they're not being faced with those problems now, they will be pretty soon. It's you don't think about it. The quickest way to fame is through the pop idiom, and that's what everybody wants to be. The Beatles, they set the tone, And then suddenly you're faced with the fact that you've got to make the White Album sooner or later, you know, and that's where because if the Beatles hadn't have done that, they would still be remembered as, trite popists or whatever.